Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who wore a Red Riding Hood. She loved her Red Riding Hood so much that she wore it all the time, even when she went to bed. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother asked her to take a basket of food to her grandmother, who lived in a cottage in the woods. Little Red Riding Hood was excited to go, and she set off right away. On her way through the woods, Little Red Riding Hood met a wolf. The wolf was very friendly, and he asked Little Red Riding Hood where she was going. Little Red Riding Hood told the wolf that she was going to her grandmother's house. The wolf suggested that Little Red Riding Hood pick some flowers to take to her grandmother. Little Red Riding Hood thought this was a good idea, and she spent the next few minutes picking flowers. While Little Red Riding Hood was picking flowers, the wolf went to her grandmother's house. He knocked on the door, and when Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother answered, he pretended to be Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother let the wolf into the house, and the wolf immediately gobbled her up. Then he put on her clothes and got into bed. A few minutes later, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at her grandmother's house. She knocked on the door, and the wolf in her grandmother's voice told her to come in. Little Red Riding Hood was surprised to see how her grandmother looked. She asked her grandmother why her eyes were so big, why her ears were so big, and why her teeth were so big. The wolf, still in her grandmother's voice, said that she was just feeling a little sick. Then she told Little Red Riding Hood to get into bed with her. Little Red Riding Hood got into bed with her grandmother, and the wolf immediately jumped out of bed and gobbled her up too. Just then, a hunter happened to be walking by. He heard Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother screaming, and he rushed into the house. The hunter saw the wolf lying in bed, and he quickly cut open the wolf's stomach. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother jumped out, safe and sound. The hunter filled the wolf's stomach with stones, and the wolf never bothered anyone again.